Today, I am sharing with you a 40C setup that you can use to do tier 16 maps. Can it do it quickly? Bro, it's 40C. Let's be realistic here. We are on a 5-link, and we are using no flasks except for a bleeding, corrupting, blood removal flask. Because if we don't use that, I mean, we're gonna die. We aren't using any anointments for our amulet, no cluster jewels, no jewels at all for that matter. Just cheap uniques and a few rare pieces to round out resist. Make sure you stick around because I'm going to be telling you the support and the flasks that you can add to this build to double your damage. This is the character I am league starting, so you can play along with me, you can follow what I'm doing for upgrades, and of course, watch me play on stream. I'll be releasing a leveling guide and an alternate setup, so make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. Also, make sure you check out my 3.18 build playlist for more fun builds. I plan to jump right into mapping with this build, and then buy this gear with Chaos Pattern. That's selling un-ID'd sets of level 60 gear to a vendor for 2 Chaos a pop. Now for this build, we're using both armor stacking and evasion stacking in combination with the Perseverance belt. And what that gives is percent damage per the lowest of either armor or evasion. We're also using Dream Feathers, so we're getting percent damage per 450 evasion as well. The Perseverance belt also gives us Onslaught while we have Fortify. And because of the Ascendancy, we have permanent Fortify, meaning we have permanent Onslaught. So we're picking up a couple nodes on the tree, which give us increased Onslaught and armor and evasion, so we can move pretty quickly and attack pretty quickly. Now, one of the best ways to actually scale armor and evasion is using Defiance Banner, Grace Determination, and investing into auras. And that's exactly what we did. And that's why Champion is good for this, because you get 35% increased aura effect just from your Ascendancy, and a free banner. This also greatly reduces the physical damage that we're taking, plus we have the Fortify 20% less damage we're taking, plus our evasion's high, so we're evading almost every single attack. And that makes us able to pretty much stand in packs. But there's one other component that's always important, and that is, how do you actually regenerate life? Now, in order to do that, we're using a Thief's Torment Ring to give us life gained on hit. We're using Life Leech. We have some regen from Vitality and nodes on the tree. And then we're grabbing the Recoup nodes. Now, these Recoup nodes give us 20% of the damage we take back as life over 4 seconds. And then the node also grants 30 life on kill and 3% of max life on kill. So we're getting topped up in between monster packs. Then we're using 2 crucial keystones and 1 mastery, which greatly increases our damage. And I'll talk about that in the next section. Ooh, we got the dream! The shrine! The king shrine! Which greatly makes us attack and is pretty much cheating. So this is what it looks like with an acceleration shrine. Don't worry, I will just take this off before the boss, because otherwise that's kind of cheating. But this is why I was so gung-ho last league about the Gaul. Caw! Because it gives you increased shrines, and if you pick up the shrine nodes and you're getting 1 shrine a map and you want to actually push into tier 16s, it gives us you so much damage and utility just for that 1 helmet slot and a couple nodes on the tree. Now, in case you didn't know this, if you right click a temporary buff, you can take it off. It doesn't work with negative debuffs, only positive temporary buffs. See, I just did that there. Now let's put out a portal just in case we die on the boss. And now we're just gonna basically just stand here and face tank him. And, yeah. He's not even, like, moving our health. It's a tier 16 map. You know, he occasionally does, but we recoup it right away. But he can barely even hit us because our evasion's so high, like I said, and then all that mitigation. Now, when I'm losing life here, it's because I hit Wrath, basically. There you go. Now I'm going to go over everything else you need to know to do this build. If you're looking for something to listen to while you're leveling, check out my full interviews with other content creators on the Tell Us About channel, link in the description. Alright, playstyle. So the main attack that you have is Lightning Strike, and the way Lightning Strike works is when you attack in place, it's going to do a little hit right here, and then it also sends these beams out. Now, if you have some way of striking an additional target, what will happen is it'll actually give you a melee hit and also this ranged hit, as long as you're standing about 5 to 10 m away. Now, you can later anoint this, or you can get a pair of gloves using the new Eldritch currency to get an additional strike implicit. But right now, we just picked up Tribal Fury, because we're trying to keep this super budget. Then we're using a couple permanent auras, Defiance Banner, Determination, Grace, Vitality, and Precision. And then we're using a temporary aura. See, this lasts 23 seconds. When we cast it, it costs some of our life. We can cast it 2 times back to back to pop our adrenaline. And this adrenaline gives us increased damage, attack, cast, movement speed, and physical damage reduction for this 20 seconds. It also removes ailments during it, but you cannot rely on that for ailment removement because it only does the ailment removement when you proc the adrenaline, and you cannot reproc adrenaline if you have adrenaline. Then we are using Leap Slam to move around. We could use Whirling Blades instead, but we just do that. Yay, whee! We have Smite, and we're casting this. This lasts 8.44 seconds, so when we have the harder enemies, we cast this for a temporary buff. This is our only source of shock right now, so you also need to do this or you can't shock. And then for really hard enemies, we pop our Ancestral Protector, and then we pop our Vol Lightning Strikes. Then we have Cast When Damage Taken, Molten Shell, and Molten Shell gives you up to a 10,000 shield if you have 50k armor, and we almost have 50k armor. So we're getting a little bit less than a 10k shield, which is huge for face tanking things. Then we also have Sniper's Mark on hit. And Sniper's Mark, because we invested over here, gives us Calling Strike, and because of this mastery, gives us Frenzy Charges. Now, additionally, I recommend adding in an Enduring Cry to the build, which gives us Endurance Charges. It also gives you a Oh Crap button, but you're going to have to bind it to a different key because it doesn't fit on the box. One other thing to note, if you place your Defiance Banner, it'll make the enemies taunted by the banner do less damage, and that's multiplied by your aura effect. So you could use it to face tank really hard hits. Now I want to show you the flask setup that you can use to increase your damage. Remember, we're scaling armor and evasion. So if we use a Jade with % evasion, we're using a Basalt. I like to use a Bleed Immune flask. We're using a Shock Immune flask, which gives more evasion. And we're using a Granite, and this gives increased armor. And these are set up to auto-proc. We gain charges whenever we're hit, and when they're full, they automatically go off, so we don't actually have to put the buttons. Let's take a look at what our Lightning Strike right here goes to if I just manually pop all 4 flasks. Look how much damage it just increased. Yeah, pretty crazy, huh? And our armor is now up to 64k, and that means our Molten Shell will actually be the 10k shield. Now let's take a look at what items we're using, and then we'll go over gems and the passive tree. So we are just using 2 Dream Feathers. We're using a helm that I threw 2 essences on, and this is what I got. We're using this amulet because it has a ton of accuracy on it, and it has some evasion too, which increases our damage. Now the reason why we need our accuracy is because we're using Precise Technique over here, and we only get 50% more attack damage if our accuracy is higher than maximum life, which once you're getting to 4k is a little bit hard to do. But this is a super cheap amulet that you can use. See, our accuracy is at 6,509. Then we're using Thieves' Torment. It's usually between 2 to 4C, so about 2 chaos patterns. At League start, I always think of things in chaos patterns, basically. Then we have a pair of gloves. Once again, I threw on a lightning resist essence here. This is what I got on my first essence, and then I crafted fire essence. Then here's a pair of boots, and I basically threw on 2 fire resist essences, and this is what I happened to get. And then I crafted life. Then we have the perseverance belt, and then I have this 5-link. And then this is 1 essence. I use 1 90 to 99 life essence. This is what I got, and this is what we use. For Pantheon, I recommend that you use Piranha, the Challenger, for Cannot Be Frozen, and unlock also the reduced effect of chill. Otherwise, on one of your flasks, you're going to have to get freeze and chill immune. We don't really care about the stun because our Ascendancy makes us immune to stun. So if you don't have those unlocked, use whichever major you want in the meantime. Then I like to use this Solve Aberrath because it gives us less duration of Ignite on you. And the Burning Ground immune makes the Searing Exarch monsters really easy. But you can also go with Reduce Shock or Reduce Reflect with the Curse, or you can go with this. That'll help you versus Chaos and Poison. We have a great Discord community, so if you need additional help, join the Discord. Go to How to View channel. assign yourself the gamer role here, and then most of the action happens in the Chat of Exile or PoE questions channel. So for gems, we're using Defiance Banner, Mark on Hit, Sniper's Mark, Termination, Vitality, Grace, Precision. Our main link is Vol Lightning Strike, Inspiration, Added Lightning, Pierce, Multi-Strike. Then we're using Smite, Ancestral Protector, and Increased Duration. Cast when damage taken, Life Tap, Deep Slam, and Molten Shell. And Life Tap, Divine Blessing, Increased Duration, and Wrath. For Ascendancies, we chose First to Strike, Last to Fall. You're going to have to use some way to proc this, which requires you to go to low life. It's going to give you increased attack and movement speed and damage and physical reduction really early on. Helps you level really quickly. Then we go for Unstoppable Hero, which does nothing until we have Fortify, and then Fortify, and then lastly, we round that out with Inspiration. For the skill tree, we invested heavily in auras. We got an aura cluster here, an aura cluster here, and an aura cluster here. Now, really important is this lightning damage with non-critical strikes is lucky. This is worth a 33% more multiplier, so make sure that you get this, and we're stacking lightning damage with Wrath and Smite. Then we're also using the Precise Technique, that's another 40% more multiplier, and then we're using Point Blank, and this is a 30% more multiplier. So this is how we're doing so much damage. This, like I said earlier, is for the Mark and the free Frenzy charges. This gives us an onslaught effect, and then it also gives us armor percent evasion. Here's our leech, and then the other important thing is Tribal Fury for Lightning Strike, so that you get the double hit on the bosses. For masteries, we grabbed 15% increased mana reservation efficiency of skills, 50 life, 5% evasion as extra armor, 100% increased mana reservation efficiency for precision, frenzy charges when we hit a marked enemy, increased reservation efficiency for vitality, grace, increased mana reservation efficiency, increased effect of aura skills on you, and then non-curse auras have increased duration, and then the lightning damage with non-crits is lucky. For the next steps for this build, I'm going to be posting videos on the channel, so make sure that you subscribe if you haven't yet. Now, I already have a guide out for a little bit higher version of this, and then eventually you transition into claws, and you'll get to a really super tanky character that will do 20 million DPS. And then you're both simultaneously tanky and can kill all the bosses because you have insane damage. I also have an alternate build guide out for a speed farmer spark character that you can use as well. And then there's a bunch of other popular builds with champions. If you want to follow my progress, I'll be live streaming at the start of the league on twitch.tv/TRJHTech or on the YouTube.